In this question, we'll find the inverse of a function. Here they have given us the graph, and then they have told this is f of x graph. We need to find which is f inverse x. Now there are quite few ways to solve this, but the best way would be look into the graph, where is x and y. See, inverse is basically, say imagine your function y is equal to x squared plus 2. You swap x and y. This becomes x, this becomes y2, and now you solve for y, and that will be the inverse function. So you're swapping x and y. Whatever was x becomes y, and y becomes x. Here, what is it exactly? If you look properly, it's 1, 2, 3, isn't it? So here we have got x value to be 3. And what is the y value? It is 1.5. So in my inverse function, this is x and this is y, isn't it? It's minus 1.5, my bad. It's going to swap. This x is going to be y. So y is going to be 3, and that's going to be the y value, and the x value is going to be minus 1.5. It's going to be somewhere over here. So this will be the inverse function. If you just join it and draw a straight line, you'll get the answer. Now, how does that help me? I will come to know what is the intercept in this. What exactly is the intercept? This value, that's 3. So whatever plus 3 must be there. It's a linear function, so it's very simple. And now the slope. Now just look over here. If you know the y-intercept, that's more than enough to figure out which is the correct answer. Or if you want, you have these 2 points, isn't it? You can find the equation as well, but that'll just take time. Instead of going through all that, figure out which will be the option. Now, if there are 2 options, say this and this, then what you can do is find the inverse of these both. That will be the function, right? I'll find the inverse here. That is y is equal to 2x plus 3, right? Now let me solve this up. It's going to be x is equal to 2y plus 3, and that will be, first take this to the other side. X minus 3 is equal to 2y, and divide both the sides by 2. So you're going to get, let's divide x by 2 minus 2 by 3 will be 3 by 2 is 1.5. That is equal to y. So now here this is the inverse function. Is it true? Say for example the intercept, is it true? Yes, this is true. Let me find the inverse of this function if this was 3 as well. X plus 3, it's plus 3, y is equal to, we'll swap it, it'll be x is equal to y plus 3, and take this to the other side. X minus 3 is equal to y. Is it true? Is it at 3? No, it is not. So the first option A is the only correct answer. This is how we figure it out. I mean, since you have been given with the multiple choices, it's very, very easy and simple. So that's how we can do it. Or you can find the inverse of all the 4, and then you can match with the given equation as well. So that is the correct answer. Just look into this x value, that'll become y, and the y becomes x over here. Now you have to find the inverse of this function. Now the calculator methods, by putting in the values of x, and then there is an inverse function, but that is not reliable. So I'll stick to the reliable method. That is, write this function, y is equal to half x squared minus 1, isn't it? Swap them up. Now here, x becomes y and y becomes x, so it'll be half y squared minus 1. And then you solve for y. Let's take the 1 to the other side. It'll be x plus 1 is equal to half y squared. Multiply both the sides by 2. It's going to be 2x plus 2 is equal to y squared. Now take square root on both the sides. That's plus or minus this one. So here, which is the correct answer? It's option C. That is the correct one. It's plus 2. Here we go. Similarly, we will solve these problems, and they have asked to graph. Now, graphing can be done in more than 7. It's very easy to figure out the graphs. That's not a problem. Let's do the inverse of this. X, we have y is equal to x plus 2. So it'll be x is equal to y plus 2, and it goes to the other side. X minus 2 is equal to y. And yes, that is the correct answer. We can see here. Now, inverse is basically plus becomes minus. So instead of plus, we have minus. And now, since this is a very basic graph, the original graph is plus 2. See, this is the function. Minus 2 just over here, draw a 45-degree line. That will be the answer. If it is single functions, now I can just tell the inverse is 1 by 5x. Why? Because it's 5 multiplied by x. You need to divide now. That will be the answer. But this doesn't stay good if it's a complicated function, because it's okay, but it's not that easy to figure it out. So we do the method, and you can see this is the inverse function at x is 1, sorry, 1 and dy by dx. So for 1 y, you will have to take phi x. Yes, that's correct. That's the slope. And over here, what you need to do is, let's write it out. Y is equal to minus 2x plus 1. So here, we will take this 1 to the other side. It will be y. Sorry, we swap them, not to the other side. Swap them first. Then we move it to the other side. This is it. Now let's take this minus 2y to the other side, because y needs to be positive, right? It'll be 2y is equal to, and x to the other side becomes minus x plus 1. And divide both the sides by 2. It'll be y is equal to minus x by 2 plus half. Or you can write it as minus x plus 1 by 2, whichever. See over here it's written like this itself. That's the inverse. And then we have to graph it up. I'll just show you how to graph. The method of graphing for all the problems is same. You just go to mode 7 for table and type in the function. Let's graph both of it. It'll be minus 2 plus 1. And over here it's x, minus 2x. There is don't put this because most of the calculators won't have this option. Let's do one graph at a time. Start at say minus 5, end at 5, and give a step of 1. So these are the values. At minus 5, what is the value? It's 11. So the function at minus 5 will be 11. It's way up, which is not considered. Let's go from minus 3. So 1, 2, 3 here. It's 7. It should have been 7, which is out of this graph. Minus 2 is 5. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the point. Here we go. And similarly, you can see the other points here. At minus 1, it is 3. Let's see, minus 1 is 3. At 0, it is 1. 1 is minus 1. And then it'll be 2 of this point. And that's it. You draw a straight line, you get the graph. What about the other line? Same thing. Just put this equation. Let me go again. It is mode 7 for table. Let us type it out. Minus x by 2. This is plus half. That is 1 by 2 or 0.5. Now you start at minus 5, end at 5, and step of 1. Here we get minus 5 is positive 3. Let's see here. This is 2, 4, 5. You can see this is 1 point. At 4, it is 2.5. Is it correct? Yes. Yes. And some other values, if you go over here, you can see these will be the values. You just draw a straight line. And that's how you graph it by mode 7. I'm not going to do the graphing again and again. It's very simple. But the solving I'll do for all the problems because that's very important. Now, how do you find the domain here? See, they are also told to restrict the domain. The inverse is what we are solving now. Restricting domain mainly comes when there is square root, which I'll show you when a problem comes. But here now, it's y is equal to x minus 4 by 3. Swap the x and y. X is equal to y minus 4 by 3. 3 to the other side becomes 3x is equal to y minus 4. And take the 4 to the other side. 3x plus 4 equals y. Now these are all having domain of minus infinity to infinity. There's no problem. These are all linear functions. Here we go. The graph is very simple. Now what about this problem? Y equals minus 5/3 x minus 8. Now what we do is we swap these y and x. The same position of the coefficients, only the x and y changes. This is y now. Now minus 8 goes to the other side, becomes plus 8. That is equal to minus 5 by 3y. Now what I did is I moved this to the other side. Let's change the sign first. Let's swap the signs. I'll multiply both the sides by minus. So what happens is basically this becomes plus, isn't it? So it'll become minus x minus 8 is equal to 5 by 3. That's positive y. Now move the 3 to the other side and 5 to the other side. It'll be 3 by 5 times minus x minus 8 is equal to y. You can take the minus outside, so it'll be minus 3/5 of x plus 8, that is equal to y. It depends on your options. Let's see which option is given over here, the answer. See, it's minus. Generally, when there are both minus, they remove that outside, and that's it. Now, you can initially take this to the other side and solve it up as well. It's up to you. And here we go. The answer is, the graph is over here. And this question, it's pretty simple. What happened? What's the inverse of plus? It's minus. So it's just x minus 4, nothing else. We have done a similar problem. Very basic. Now this is going to be 1/4 x because it's single term. It'll be 1/4 x. We can graph them up. Now this one here will be y is equal to minus 8x plus 9. It'll be, let's take this swap first, minus 8y plus 9. Let's take the y to the other side. It'll be 8y is equal to minus x plus 9, and y equals minus 8x by 8, minus x by 8 plus 9 by 8. This will be the final answer. It's negative x by 8 plus 9 by 8. That is the inverse function. So here we go. Usually that finally when we change it, right, we write f inverse of x. You have to just look into the function and choose the correct answer. Now we have x squared. What happens here? It's y is equal to 5x squared. Swap them up. It'll be x is equal to 5y squared, isn't it? Now let me take this 5 to the other side. It's going to be x by 5 is equal to y squared. How do you remove this? Square root on both the sides. This becomes y equals plus or minus square root x by 5. So we have got a square root function. And there is plus and minus. Now here, is there any plus? See, this x is alone. That means the graph will start from the center itself. You can see here, let's look into the graph. Okay, why did they write it like this? Because they have removed it out. Let me show you. Let me just take a calculator and show this. If you put in the calculator square root of 1 by 5, what happens? You'll get square root 5 divided by 5. How does that happen? That is basically, imagine this x, I'm just writing 1 now, 5. You can multiply and divide by 5, isn't it? That's fine. We are not doing anything wrong because that's 1. You're multiplying by 1, it remains the same. So up is 5, down is 25. Now square root of 5 remains as it is. But what about square root of 25? It's 5. That's how we get it. It's up to you. You can just figure it out. If at all there's no this option, just put x as 1 and solve it in the calculator. 1 by 5, you get this. So that is the correct answer. So you can see here. Now let's look at the graph. You can see the graph here. What I told from center, right? Absolutely. It starts from 0 up and down. Now look carefully. The answer is like this. Here we have plus and minus. This is not the answer, sorry. It's plus or minus square root 5x by 5. It's with the x is also under the square root. Now when is it positive and when is it negative? Now remember, this joint goes over here, whereas this part, the right side part, comes up. So if we restrict the domain from minus infinity to 0, so this one, and from 0 to infinity, what happens is you will have the negative part of the square root x. Whatever it is, whatever the function, negative will be in this range and the positive will be over here. This is very, very important. Now, if at all this domain was, the center was over here, imagine it was like this, then the inverse will be right side. Then you should count over here and write that. When we get the problem, I'll teach you that. Now you don't need to worry about that. Just focus on this part. The domains are restricted based on the function. Or it's very, very easy to remember. Whenever there's a square root function, the negative of the square root is from minus infinity to 0 and 0 to infinity is positive. So you can read over here, if the domain f of x is restricted from minus infinity to 0, then the inverse is this part, negative square root 5 x by 5. Because there are two answers, isn't it? It's plus or minus. There are two solutions. So when is the negative solution? When it's in the negative quadrant. Whereas when you go from 0 to x, that's the positive x-axis, it'll be the positive, that's square root 5x by 5, it's positive. Now let's look at this one as well. Here, when we find the inverse, it's going to be x is equal to y squared plus 4. I just did this step directly, and now we'll take this to the other side. It'll be x minus 4 is equal to y squared square root over here. So it's plus or minus. That's the thing. Now, if you look into the graph, what happened is it is up, but this is not altering the x coordinate. It's just the y coordinate. Y axis it's swapped. That doesn't make any difference. So even now here from minus infinity to 0, it is the negative part. See, the answer is there, right? The minus square root, you can see the minus square root is from minus infinity to 0, but from 0 to infinity, it will be the positive square root value. Whenever we have plus or minus, here at x tends to minus infinity to 0, this is the negative square root x minus 4. And when we have 0 to infinity, that will be, this is a small bracket. Whenever we have numbers, we put the big brackets, and this infinity cannot be considered because it's an undefined number, so we do the open bracket here, and it'll be positive x minus 4. So this is what we need to write. That's it. Here we go. That's the solutions. You can read it out over there. Now, how do you find the inverse of this? Y is equal to 4, that is x is equal to 4. Very simple. Just make y as x because there's no other x term. That's it. And what about this one? It's 1/3 x. We did this a while ago. A very basic one again. Now this is going to be x minus 2. I guess we did this problem as well. X minus 2. Now what about this one? You just have to write y is equal to 2x minus 1. It'll be x is equal to 2y minus 1. X plus 1 is equal to 2y. Divide both the sides by 2. It'll be x by 2 plus half. That is y inverse. Now even over here there is a relationship. If you look carefully, 2x, so it's divided by 2. So this both thing gets divided by 2 and plus becomes minus. So it's x by 2 plus 1 by 2. That's the answer. Sorry, this is the answer. Here we go. Now they have not split the denominator. We have split it up. It's absolutely fine. Now again we have square. Let's solve this one up. You will have, this is y is equal, it will become x is equal to half y square minus 1. X plus 1 is equal to half y square. Take it to the other side. 2 times, I'll just write it directly. 2x plus 2 is equal to y square. Take the square root over here. Square root plus or minus 2x plus 2. That is the solution. Now here as well, the positive will be in the positive x quadrant, negative will be in the negative quadrant. Now look here, it's not to the x, this minus 1 is to the y-axis. So if you look carefully, when I initially saw this, I was thinking, okay, is this the graph? It's not that graph. Look carefully here. This is a parabola, and the other graph will be this one here. That is the inverse graph. So how would you see which is the positive and the negative quadrant? So here, this positive one is for all the domain in the x-axis, negative infinity to 0. Whereas this down part, the negative part will be from 0 to infinity. That'll be over here. You can see this minus is with the negative x-axis quadrant, and positive x-axis will be positive value. Now this one has some difference. Let us solve this up, then I'll tell you what it is. Y equals x plus 1 the whole square plus 3. Here we will swap it. X is equal to y plus 1 the whole square plus 3. And then we'll take this 3 to the other side. X minus 3 is equal to y plus 1 the whole square. Here now, how do you remove this? We have to take square root on both the sides, isn't it? We take the square root on both the sides. It'll be plus or minus square root x minus 3. That is equal to, it's y plus 1. And this goes to the other side. It's plus or minus square root x minus 3 minus 1 is equal to the inverse function. Here you can see the square root, everything is there, and then there is minus 1. Now when we split out the domain, it's not from 0, it's from minus infinity to, what is this? It's minus 1. And then from minus 1 to infinity. So here this will have the negative part of the square root x minus 3 minus 1. And this will have the positive square root x minus 3 minus 1. This is the splitting of these two. Here, why? Because there's minus 1. If you carefully analyze, what is this? X, the axis, it touches not, the parabola is not at 0. It is at x is equal to minus 1. So at this point, the parabola goes up. And then it is again added up 3 units, right? So if you look into the graph, it's swapped to minus and then it is moved up by 3. So look carefully, it is here, this point. So it is at minus 1, minus infinity to minus 1 and minus 1 to positive infinity. Now this minus 1 remains same. See, now we have written negative 1 at the right. That is absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. But the main thing is, see, the plus or minus is only for the square root x, whatever is inside the square root. This one is standard, doesn't matter what, it'll be over there itself. Same number in both the cases. This problem we had done at the beginning, just look into the x and y values and then you can easily figure out the correct answer. And this was the first problem which we did at the beginning with the options. Here we have an open response question. Let's look into this. Find the inverse of this function. Now here, this is basically y equals x squared plus 4x plus 3, isn't it? Now let's swap it. That's going to be x equals y squared plus 4y plus 3. There is no way I can solve this. Why? Because there are two y terms. But imagine you had x plus 2 the whole square. What is the expansion of this? It's x squared plus 2 times 2 is 4x plus 4, right? Now, I know this term was initially x plus 2 the whole square. If this is given over here, I can absolutely solve it up. So I can do something called completing the square. That means the rule is just like this. Whatever is there, it should have a coefficient of 1. Then write this x only plus whatever is the second term divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And make it whole square. And minus whatever is this term, you need to square it up, minus 4. And then what is remaining over here? Plus 4. So it cancels up your remaining with this. Now the same concept. If it was minus here, you put minus. That's it. Now here I'm going to use the same concept. Y as it is, power 2 becomes power 1. And then I have plus, here there is 4, right? Divided by 2 will be 2. The whole square. Now minus 2 square will be 4. And then what is remaining? It's plus 3. So here, now when I solve it up, it'll be y plus 2 the whole square. It'll be minus 1. So let me take this to the other side. That's going to be x plus 1. That is equal to y plus 2 the whole square. Now I'll take square root on both these sides. It's plus or minus x plus 1 equals y plus 2. Now I'll take this 2 to the other side. It'll be square root x plus 1 plus or minus 2. That is the inverse function. Here we go. That will be the final answer. And now you can see here they have written minus 2 first. Then the minus 1 will have a domain. We did this a while ago, right? What will be the domain? It will be from minus infinity to what? Minus 2. Sorry, it's like this. And then this is the negative part of it. The positive square root x plus 1 minus 2 will be at minus 2 comma infinity. This will be the restricted domains. So you can see here the negative one will be from minus infinity to minus 2. The positive one will be from minus 2 to infinity. That is the end of this question. I hope it is clear. If you have any doubts, please consider rewatching the video or posting your doubts in the comments. I hope you all will head on to the next video.